So what's everybody think about the Hardin, Montana situation? I just spent another hour and a half. I listened to all that Alex Jones's show today. That's where he is up there interviewing these people. He interviewed the front person for APF, the American Police Force, which is all basically world terrorists as they're finding out about these guys. Yeah, the American Police Force, they name themselves, are basically the worst guys in the world. You know, the leader of the place is a 10-time felon. They're setting up shop. They're setting up their martial law training shop up in Montana and on the Canadian border. Um, the Alex Jones series. Please take a look at it. Of course, it's long. It's an hour and a half, but great interviews, and the people know what they're talking about. They're saying this is just absolutely a layer upon layer, just pure evil that's set up in Montana to train. And remember, these guys have already said that they're in Montana right now, and they're going to 30 other states. And there's thousands of people involved with this, and they're the people up at the largest air base in the country. It was up there in Montana, and SAC Command, and they say they've seen more military operations in the country than was leading up to the Gulf Wars. This whole thing. I mean, these people. I watch these videos. I've seen all the videos, and I've seen how they're lying, and just the biggest weasels you ever seen ever. And you find out what's behind everything, and they're setting up shop. They're setting up their training facilities for martial law. They got their prisons. That's where they are. They're in a prison in Montana that itself is just mysterious as can be. It was set up and never opened. Because it didn't meet codes and this, all kinds of things. It didn't meet the correct size requirements and all this. But how could they spend that money? They don't know how a federal sanctioned prison is supposed to be built. They just spent millions and millions of dollars, but they just got it wrong, and so it never opened. Now the whole thing, stinks, and they're bringing in people. What can you say about it? You just have to listen to those videos, and it's going on right under our noses. The martial law is already upon us, and all it's going to take is this flu vaccine. They're making it mandatory right now. They tell us it's not mandatory, but for the military, it's mandatory. Okay, but then you got the New York story. All the healthcare workers are being required to take it, and all the police and all those guys are going to be required to take it too. But it's not going to be mandatory for us. Of course, it will be. If it's mandatory for them, it's going to be mandatory for us. So. What can you say? The only thing that you have to do is have your plans now. What are you going to do? This is just, it's unbelievable what's going on, and nobody in our government is standing up and saying, what are these, people doing here? Where did they come from? How did they get in? How did a 10-time, felon, this guy's sought all over the world right now? How did he get in here? Much less all the other people that are up there who they did try to, as you hear more about these stories, the clearer it becomes. They did try to take over as the police up there in Hardin, Montana, and good for the people. They raised hell about it and said, oh, no, you're not going to be the police force here, and they all started asking questions and. What else can you say? I just figured I made a video because it really makes an impression on you when you watch that and you really listen to what they're saying. It'll make an impression, and the impression to me is that they're here, they're set up shop. All the details, that's beside the point, but it's like I've been saying in a couple of videos is, what it really doesn't matter if they're out in the streets, looking for you. The timelines of things and what they're going to do in a court or something doesn't really matter when you're being barricaded in your own home or deciding to leave, and try and get to the mountains or someplace where you can stay. Well, it's pretty sad that happens in this country, but I guess that's how it is. I guess that's just how it's going to be. It certainly looks that way, so please watch my videos I linked there and tell me what you think about it. Oh yeah, by the way, this is the part of the video I gotta let it run for about a minute, so that the end won't cut off. It cuts off a minute or a minute and a half. So I'm just going to let it run for a minute. By the way, while watching the hockey game, Avalanche and Anaheim are playing, or San Jose, I mean. I live in Colorado, so I follow the Colorado Avalanche. And they're up. Avs winning this first game of the year. You know, that's cool. Good for them. Hopefully they'll have a good year. And get ready. Yeah, I'm gonna, tomorrow. Um, tomorrow I'm gonna go buy some more clothes. I'm thinking about buy a couple heavy shirts and buy a couple more. You know, doing pretty good on it already. I've been preparing. You know, anybody that knows me is, yeah. 2 years ago I was the crazy guy. Oh yeah, well he's always out there. He says he needs lots of ammo. Anybody who knows me from back then knows it. I was saying a couple years ago, you better stock up on ammo. It's cheap now. It's going to get expensive. There you go. And just looked at the stock market too. You know, for tomorrow. You know, we had a big crash today, and I'll tell you what, the foreign markets right now, the futures aren't looking good at all. Looks like it'll be another bad day tomorrow. All they got to do is blow out the stock market for a day. People are panicking, and they do whatever they want.